Yeah, I mean, in your story, a lot of people don't mention that. Everyone always talks about game 3, but they don't mention it. I mean, you pitched in game 1 where they lost that game, and you had 1 inning, gave up a hit, but gave up no runs. How important do you think it was to just get that experience pitching at the beginning of the World Series, just to kind of mentally prepare you for what you ultimately did in game 3?
I mean, that was huge. Like, I don't know if the same thing happens in game 3 if I don't get, my feet wet there. Cause I mean, I felt great warming up. Like, all right, like, like this isn't real yet. I'm dreaming. And then the inning ends and like, I'm running out there. I'm like, oh my God, like this is the World Series. Like the score didn't matter at all to me. Like it was just getting to pitch in that. And then, like, I think I yanked my first 2 fastballs and like warming up. And I was like, oh God. And then it was like, just like, calm down, like take a breath kind of thing, reset myself on the mound and then kind of locked in and got there. And then like that totally helped. Like, I mean, I got Springer, I got to face Vladdy, Barger and IKF, like I got to face the top of the lineup. And so like getting through that with, a single and no runs and nothing else, like that certainly instilled some confidence for game 3, like knowing I could go against like their top guys. So it ended up like, paving the way for that. But without that, who knows? Like that, I was definitely nervous stepping out there. And so that could have made things interesting. But, I think a lot of people forget that one, though. I see that sometimes. Like, no, I pitched twice.
Yeah, go look at his game log. Okay, I mean, let's not forget. I mean, that's got to be big considering what Vladimir Guerrero Jr. was doing that postseason just to get him to fly out there after you giving up that single to Barge and then you get IKF to fly out. Hey, man, it's like, hey, I'm here. I'm at the World Series. I belong on this stage. Like, how much of that has been a part of your year is not even just the World Series, but like the Dodgers clubhouse, and you look around, it's Clayton Kershaw, it's Yamamoto, it's Tanner Scott, it's like Blake Snell, it's like all these high price guys and then these up and coming guys. Like, how much of that to you is just like, hey, like I belong here with these guys because of my talent, how good I am?
Yeah, that's a huge helper. Like you do see those guys and you're like, I mean, they've done so much in their careers. Like obviously Kershaw is just Hall of Fame. Like a lot of other guys that are going to be, and then Shohei, like the best player ever. And it's like, just kind of, try not to lose these games for him. Like try not to mess up and then be able to go out there in game 3 and like effectively like help them win one. And then, be able to like not make them use Yamamoto there, thankfully, because that would have changed the story. But, to be able to go and like play a big role in that kind of like, it definitely makes you feel like you're a part of the team. Like you deserve to be there a little more. And like, especially like for years onward, like always have that in the back of my mind. Like, hey, if I can do that, like I can, go throw in spring training games, or like I feel like I can be a part of the team, so that it definitely helps.
Yeah. It's got to feel pretty cool that you are linked with Kershaw really forever, because Kersh comes in the 12th inning. It's a bases loaded situation. He gets Lucas to ground to section, that great flip by Tommy Edman. And then you enter the game, and it's a tight game. You come into the game a little later in that game, and you're just putting up zeros. And I think the story is, man, this is in Toronto. Do we have the 10th man, which was Dodger Stadium? Like, how big was that to have 50,000 Dodgers fans have your back? It felt like you were out there together getting this thing done.
Dude, that was huge. Like, I don't know if I could have, done that without him. Just like hearing, like after the third out, like each time, like they're going crazy, like, like let's go win a game here. And then like, especially like that 4th inning, like without them and the dugout, like going nuts. Like, I don't know if I would have made it through. Like I could hear them just going like crazy, like cheering, like everyone's like trying to support you. And I was like, all right, the least I can do is go out here and, pitch until I die. And so effectively, and like, especially with that last pitch, like 3-2, those guys, like 2 guys on second and third, and basically like last pitch of the game there. And so like just having that, and I feel like, they made him swing and miss there. So I don't, you definitely can't win that game without him. It's such a huge part of it. Like, I don't think people, like when you watch games at home, you don't feel that. And so like, it just keeps you going, especially like when games get like that.
Yeah, I think too. I mean, the emotion that you showed, especially in the 17th inning when you get that big out, you strike out Heineman, and you're just explosive, and you're kind of losing your mind. And I was getting some Alex Vesia vibes, just like you're out there just losing it, which you love to see. How was the mindset knowing that your previous career high in pitches thrown a game was 36? You ended up throwing 72. Like, what was it like in between those innings, mentally, physically, kind of preparing yourself, knowing that, hey, I got to do everything. Like you said, I'm willing to die for this thing, right? Like, what was that like mentally going back out there and in between innings?
Yeah, I think I drank like a Gatorade an inning. Like I was.
What flavor? What flavor? Like,
whatever they would bring back.
Nice.
Preferably like the red or the yellow.
Classic.
But I was doing that. I was eating those little like gummy chews that are some like quick carbs. Because reliever, like I'm going out there throwing as much as I can, like each pitch, and so like by the time I got to 2, I was like, all right, like I'm a little feeling it. Like let's get some more energy here. And so those kind of kept me going. But like as soon as I sat down, I was like, I turned into a fan for a little bit. I was like, please, let's score here. Like, I don't know how much I can go. Like, I'm trying to, let's go home. But, and then by the time, like when we got 2 outs, like I just kind of like turned that off, like shut it back down, like that part, and then turned back into, all right, like, let's go back out there, get another 0. And like, we're not going to lose this thing. And so like, just being able to like flip that switch for me was huge. Like sometimes you get caught in that mode of like, you're not locked in, like you're just watching the game. Third out comes, you're like, oh shoot, like where's all my stuff? Like what's going on? So I was like really trying to be locked in to like turn it back on, to go back out there and find it again. And just, like having the fans, like when you go back out there, like on your side, like certainly help in those situations,
Yeah, I went down, I was sitting with the fans, and it was the most exciting thing at Dodger Stadium this year, right? Because game 6 and 7, those are on the road. So you think of what happened at home, that was having the fan base behind you. Were you aware of Yamamoto and going to Dave Roberts and then walking by Roki Sasaki, and then Roki Sasaki looks like, are you for real? And all of a sudden, Yamamoto just emerges in that Dodgers bullpen. Like, I know you're completely locked in that situation, but like, how aware were you that, hey, if Freddie doesn't hit this bomb, it's going to be Yamamoto potentially extending this game?
I had no idea until I came in after the 4th inning, and like Doc shook my hand, like said, you're done. I'm like, well, who's going in? Because I know it's not Kike, because Kike is, been pulled from the game, I thought. And then I was like, if it's Miggy, that's crazy. Like, we're just like first World Series game ever with like position players facing off, and so, and then so I was like, I asked Mark, like, who is it? And he's like, Yama. I'm like, no way. Like, this guy's 1 day removed from, throwing a complete game. This guy's a psycho. And, like, no one knows what would have happened if he threw then. Like, would he have gone and started game 6? Would he have been able to come back out for game 7? Like, that's just, yeah, who knows, like, what would have happened. So it was, like, perfect for Freddie to go do that. But then I saw the video of Roki after. Like, that was so funny. Are you serious? Like,
yeah, it's the best. He's just like completely mind blown by that. And yeah, I think that's kind of one of those things where you look at what you did that game. You didn't just help them win a game, you helped them win a series. And you were in game 7 in a way. There's got to be a part of you that sees what Yamamoto did in game 6 and sees what Yamamoto did in game 7. It's like, hey, like I played a role in this in some capacity. And you got to take a lot of pride for that. But also, do want to ask you some specific stuff about Yamamoto, because it's one thing for all of us out there, fans, media members, journalists, whatever, to say, man, that's so impressive to go on 0 days rest and do what Yamamoto did. But from someone like yourself that goes from 36 pitches to 72 pitches and your arms got to feel tired, just how can you describe as a pitcher who pitched in that series what Yamamoto did in game 6 and game 7?
Dude, I don't even know if you can. Like, it's just, well, him being willing to go out a day removed from the world, like the complete game for game 3, kind of like put that in the back of your mind. Like, this guy's kind of a psycho. And he had a great finish to the year, like a couple like almost no hitters or whatever. And you're like, all right, like, I guess, like there's like a different way they go about like practicing and pitching in Japan. Like, you see stories from the Koshien of guys throwing like 100 pitches on back-to-back, even back-to-back days. And you're like, all right, like, I don't know how that translates here. Like, when he's been, on this 5 or 6 man or 4 man rotation for however long he has been, like, I'm sure some of that might play a role, but, never thought he'd go like start and then come out of there. And So game 6, like he went 6 innings, like threw great. Like, all right, like good job. Like wait, like rest your hat on that for, the World Series. Like we've got a bunch of other guys for tomorrow. And then we went through like every other starter we had and Robo, and he's just like down there like tossing, and we're like, what is he doing down here? Like we knew like we were as like all hands on deck, but obviously like the 9 and then the 6 and even being in the bullpen in game 3, like he was throwing then, so like that's a little bit too. And so you're like, there's no way he can actually go in. And then he like starts like ripping him full speed, and like, oh my god, like,
Yeah.
this is actually happening. And he goes out there and you do it, but like if you see like his routine like day to day, like he does the same thing every day. Like he's doing all of his mobility for hours and hours before games, before starts, like the javelins, like the little handballs that he throws, like everything is in preparation for like those kinds of moments. And so like I don't think it really surprises you when you see like every like piece of work he puts in like throughout the year, like day to day, and that kind of builds like throughout the year. But just as like a fan of baseball, like I was just absolutely amazed and stunned by the fact that his arm's still attached, and two, like how gutsy that is to put yourself in that situation.
Did you have any conversations with him? Did you guys say anything to each other at any point, like during the whole World Series?
I think I told him I loved him a bunch after game 7. But like, I mean, he's so nice, dude. He's just the greatest. And so just to be able to witness that with my own 2 eyes was really special.
Do you remember what was going through your mind in game 7 when it could have been Kersh? I mean, there's a lot of talk who's gonna go and be used in that game. Just kind of remember where you were and just kind of how you experienced that final out.
Yeah, I was like that entire game, I was trying to find some position I was sitting that would bring us continuous like luck and good fortune. And so like every time something bad happened, I would change my seat. And then every time like something good happened, like I would just like, all right, stay here as long as possible, like where I'm sitting or what I'm doing or like what I'm drinking, stuff like that. I was trying to find something that I felt like I could play a role.
That's awesome.
And so I was just like trying to like sit in the same spot for that entire like last inning, like don't move, don't blink, like don't have this be on you because you didn't sit the same way, and so then like that ground ball gets hit and we're all like, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god. And then like you do that and we just start running, and then like Kershaw's still there throwing because he thought he might be in the game and he didn't even realize it was over. So that was a little added bonus. But I don't think I've been more nervous in my entire life. Like I was just sitting there like gripping the wall, like shaking, but my fingerprints are like still in the wall because of how hard I was, squeezing the railing. But it was just like an out of body, like I don't even know how to describe it. It was the coolest moment of my life.
One of the best World Series we've ever seen. You mentioned Kershaw a couple of times. What will you take away from your experience with him? Any conversations, any advice? I mean, what will you take away from just watching him go about his business? Because I think that a lot of people see the work ethic that he has, but I mean, he seems like just the greatest teammate. I mean, he's talking to everyone. He's a funny guy that, I mean, I don't think people realize like his sense of humor. That's why I think he'd be great in broadcasting. But what will you remember most from being his teammate?
I mean, yeah, just like how much fun he has, and how, like, even in year, what was it, 17, 18, of being on the show, like, he still, like, appreciates every day, and just, like, in the weight room and, like, other stuff, like, outside of the game, like, just the work he was still putting into, like, to keep going and to stay in the shape he did and, like, to have the year. Like, he still had a great year, It was crazy for him to go out like that, and just to see, like, him hit some milestones, like, I think I shed a tear when he got 3,000. Just getting to be there for that was like what I thought was the coolest moment of my life. Because like as a baseball fan, like that's a special club, and so to be able to be on the same team and like get to experience that and celebrate that after was really cool. But just like how he goes about it and doesn't make it bigger than it is. Because that's the hardest part is letting the moment get ahead of you, and so just be able to kind of take in how he goes about his day and appreciates baseball was cool. And then when he came down to the bullpen, it was funny because he hadn't done that a whole lot, and so just seeing like him trying to find like what worked for him down there was cool. And then when he first got moved to the bullpen in Arizona, I actually got to play catch with him, so I was the most terrified I'd ever been playing catch, so I was trying not to kill him the whole time, but that was really fun. And so just little moments like that like just really make you appreciate the guy.
Yeah, Luigi pointed that out. I mean, I don't think he gets enough credit for having a really, really good year. Andre Ether was on the show saying he saved the season, making 22 starts and appearing in as many games in injuries that the rotation was dealing with to be able to hold it down. And yeah, in the postseason, just having him around and doing anything he can to help the team win. Now, there was that one moment during the game. I mean, that's what was so great about this series is like there was so many big moments and both teams just throwing everything at each other to try to win. But Robleski and Jimenez, that moment, I got to ask you about that again, because I look at that and I laugh every time I see Jimenez and Robleski is such a dog. Like I wasn't trying to throw at you and just kind of going at him. What do you remember from that moment? And what did that kind of tell you about the bond and the brotherhood that exists on this team?
Dude, that was so funny because I was just sitting there. I was like, there's no way we're going to clear benches in game 7 of the World Series.
You did.
I was like, what are we doing? And then like that happens and benches start clearing and Sheehan are like, should we go out there? And then we saw their guys start going and we're like, oh gosh. And we like sprinted down the stairs and like took off out there and like, I don't think I've ran faster in my life. And then by the time bullpens get out there, it's like everything's done. We're like, but you know, like obviously Robo's not trying to hit people. You pitch in, like especially to same-handed guys because it makes them uncomfortable. And you know, when guys like kind of dive over the plate with their hands, which a lot of like hitters do, like it's like up and in is going to get you on the hand when you start your swing early or on guys that throw hard. And so obviously like he kind of threw his hands out a little bit and got hit. But if you're going to like, you can't like yell at someone. Obviously it looks a little like worse because he went up like a couple of times, but I don't think in game 7 of the World Series anyone's trying to hit anybody, but whatever. It was really funny because you get out there and like they're yelling at each other and like you got guys like separating Robo from Jimenez, and then out of nowhere like people start yelling at the outfield and I'm like, what's going on over there? And then Hoffman had come in and was like also yelling at Robleski, and then we got guys yelling back at Hoffman, and I was just like sitting there like this is just, it was just like kind of funny that this is happening like in games in the World Series, you know, like I just got here, like this is, I thought it was kind of funny. And then, you know, like people said words and things happened later in the game that I also thought were funny. And so I just thought it was kind of a little bit of justice there at the end, and just the way it finished was, you know, poetry. And so it was definitely fun to be a part of that. I didn't really, you know, get involved anyway, but getting to be up there and like see it happen and then, you know, see what happened later was kind of entertaining.
Follow up, which things later in the game were funny?
I thought Miguel's home run was hilarious
because of the interactions there.
Yeah, I saw the breakdown of it after too. I didn't realize like he was yelling at Robo. I thought he was yelling at Miggy for a second, but Miggy was just, you know, backing him up. And you know, like that's what happens when bench is clear. Like someone gets mad, other guys get mad at that guy, and then everyone's mad now. And so I just thought, like, I remember thinking like when he went up, like, oh, like Hoffman was yelling at Miggy. You know, Miggy's going to go do something cool here. And then, you know, like
that's amazing. Like you can never tell me that did not impact that home run, right? Like there's had to be like, even if like a small spark, like maybe if you're just putting your subconscious back there and your eyes kind of light up, and then it's just like you said, poetry. It's so fitting that that's kind of what happened there.
Yeah, like I don't think you can write that up. You know, like it's just, you know, some things come back, and like you know, everyone's had it happen to them. Like you say something, and you know, it comes back. And you're like, like probably shouldn't have said that. Like it all comes around. And like it was just like he at the moment, like everyone's like mad at each other. But I just thought like when I was watching it, like those two that were like yelling at each other for that moment to have happened later, like I thought that was just, yeah, like it was poetry there. And just like I was sitting there like thinking like there's no way like after what happened, like he's got to do something. And then I didn't think it was gonna be a 3-2, you know, 1-out game time home run in the top of the 9th inning, but I was gonna like make another cool play or something. He did make another cool play as well, but you know, it was cool to be able to see him have that moment like with that as well.
Yeah, like what was the reaction like in the bullpen when he hit that home run, and just kind of, do you remember what was going through your mind when he did that?
I couldn't believe it. I know everyone else couldn't believe it. I know Kershaw goes, "Oh my God, did we do it?" And so it's like no one really believed what was happening. Because everyone like you know, we have Ohtani up next, and so like you got to protect that a little bit. Like you're trying to stay in zone there because you don't want to let Ohtani, you know, bring him in or take the lead with the home run or anything. And so it looked like he was sitting on that slider, and he just went and got it. And we're like, oh my God, like we had to make sure like we saw it land in the bullpen, or like the guy that caught it, like we had to make sure we saw it actually go over the fence before we started celebrating. But like it was just like the whole bullpen was like, oh my God, we did it. And like when that happened, you felt like we were going to win the game, and so it was just such a relief because we've been like fighting back. Like it was 3-0, then 3-1, then 2-3, but then they scored and made it 2-4. And then you're sitting like, oh, like that was our chance. Like we were pulling it back. And then Muncy goes and hits that home run. We're like, oh, like that's interesting. And it was a tank that was off like the sign that said like ready for October or ready for November baseball or whatever. I thought that was funny. And they were like, oh, like that, that could make this closer. Like we've like 95% of our home runs in the postseason were solo shots. So you're like, okay, like just one more of those and we're good. And so like without that home run, we don't get that moment. But yeah, when that happened, I'm like, oh my God, like we all felt like we just won. And we had to sit there nervous for like 3 more innings.
That's the thing. I mean, you hit the home run, like, oh wait, now Will Smith's gonna hit a home run, and then Miguel Rojas has to make an incredible play to make IKF not score, and that they're just play after play, and then the double play, Kirk Mookie gets the job done. You guys are World Series champions. I want to know about the post World Series locker room party action. Like how incredible! I've obviously been in some of those, but I've never like been you guys with the goggles, drinking the beers, and all this cool stuff. Like how much did that live up to the hype for you as far as like the joy doing this thing with your friends and your brothers out there, winning a championship in the style and the fashion you did? Just what do you remember from the locker room celebration?
I remember really like Kershaw, just talking and like how appreciative he was, like, and thankful like for everything, like, and just like what a good way to, have a guy go out like back-to-back World Series, like greatest. I mean, one of the greatest ever to do it, and just be able to like send him off like that. It was just like really cool. And so just those moments after, and then you pop the champagne, like everyone's like just going nuts, and everything that goes along with that was really fun. Like you see it on TV and like guys goggles, and you're like, all right, kind of looks stupid, like you're just soaked in beer, and then you're the one soaked in your beer, and you're like, I love this so much. This is so fun. Like let's keep doing it. And so it was great. And then just it's about like be able to celebrate like with the guys you did it with, and like that's the biggest part of it, like doing it with each other and like for each other. Like it's so special, like especially when you have like a good group of dudes like that. And so that's like the moments I'll take away from that.
Who partied the hardest?
Oh man, I don't even remember. I think there are a couple candidates. I know. Yeah, I don't know, dude. After that, I think everyone partied as hard as they could.
Everyone's at a 10. Everyone's at a 10. I love it. Now,
Maybe,
you kind of talk about that, like winning with your brothers and having a special purpose, special meaning. You had players wearing 51 on their hats for Alex Vesia and everything that he's been through, and he's so beloved by Dodgers fans. Like, how much of that kind of played a role into just, hey, let's go out there, let's win this championship, and just how much was he in your guys' thoughts during this run?
Yeah, the whole time. Like obviously, like we did that in support. Like that's such an unimaginable hardship to go through, and like there's things bigger than baseball. Like there's so much worse than going out there and losing a World Series. And so just be able to like show our support for him, and I think like he really appreciated it. And so just be able to like do that and show him some love was nice. And I like to think that he was out there with us in spirit on in Game 3, because the bullpen kind of just shut it down. Like everyone that threw, like there were so many more. Like Edgardo had 2 huge innings, and everyone else like Kershaw's like bases loaded. Like it was just so much of a team effort there, like that we're just like all doing it like in spirit of him, because he was just such a rock like throughout the year, like for the bullpen. So just be able to like go out there and like have the bullpen show up was huge. And I like to think that was a little bit for him. And then obviously like the Blue Jays did it too, and we really appreciate like that. Like I said, like it's bigger than baseball, and so just be able to have support showed from everybody was really special, and it just it made it feel a little more close to home. That those guys were really supportive about it too, and so that was really cool to see. But like obviously you would rather be out there than going through that, and so just be able to get him a ring for that was the least we could do.
I love that. Yeah, some things are bigger than baseball. There's no doubt that he was with you guys during that entire run. I just love to hear that. Now, as far as upcoming season, you guys got a 3-peat to take care of. for yourself, just building on what happened in the postseason, just carrying over that momentum. What are the goals for this year as far as the start there? I mean, is it, hey, I'm in that bullpen, I want to help this team any way I can? Is your goal to make that opening day roster, just really be a part of this club moving forward?
Yeah, 100%. I think that's, the goal every year. Like, what have you done for me lately? Like, pitching in that game doesn't automatically mean I'm going to go, make the team. Like, you still have to come show up the next year and earn your spot, like anybody else. And so, like, that's the plan. You're going to show up, work your butt off, go, pitch as well as you can, and hopefully find a spot. And like, just using that momentum's huge, and so just be able to work off that, and then just hone into execution, especially to righties, has been a big thing. And just hopefully if I can bring that all together and keep pitching like that, like hopefully like build a spot for myself. But like it's again, like you just got to keep earning it every day, and like nothing's given. And so just showing up with that attitude, and that's how I've taken this off season. Like I want to go earn a new spot and be a part of the team again, because it's just it's so fun. And just be able to be with those guys and pitch at the major league level. Like, why wouldn't you do anything to go do it?
Is there anything specifically maybe you've focused on the offseason? You guys are always working on things, tweaking things. Is there anything you kind of focus on this offseason that you're hoping will help you even improve next season?
Yeah, like I can certainly get better at my execution to righties. Like that's who I struggle with more, surprisingly, just because the sweeper was new at the end. And so just honing that in, keeping that more in zone, being able to go in, like I think I did a much better job of that, like in the World Series, which is, funny time to work on that. But like that was a huge part, being able to go in, because it kind of, sometimes you can tell like guys will just eliminate the inner half and just sit away, like if that's where you are like 80% of the time. And so just be able to have that and then go away and then go up like with the fastball, and then add in the sweeper there too, that add something going away from them. And so like that was a big thing. And then just continuing to smooth out your like motion. Like the more you throw, the more you get in tune with yourself, and then the better the more you can tell where the ball, like, it doesn't sound right, the more you can tell where the ball is going to go. Because like if you're releasing it like even like half of a centimeter like more the same each time, like the result's going to be closer. And then just the more you throw, the more that kind of comes together. And so just getting better at the little things really like kind of helps there.
Yeah, it almost feels like when you join the Dodgers, you go to the pitching lab and they open this briefcase and like, there's the sweeper, there's the slider, there's a bullet slider. You're going to throw this one or that. We're going to stop throwing this one. You're going to do this, that. Is that kind of the big change for you? This implementing and incorporating that sweeper more? You threw it last year 14 times in the regular season through four-seam, curveball, and cutter. You anticipate more sweeper, and do you think that's kind of one of the big keys to kind of leveling up?
Yeah, that really helps, especially with righties, to just be able to like have an off season with that, where I'm like really like finding, release points and stuff. Because adding a new pitch in season, like it's tough, because like you can throw like your touch and feels before the game, but like your only real like work is like in game, especially if you're throwing like every other day. And so getting time to like just practice it is hard to find. And so yeah, just having that, because that just goes off like the inside fastball so well, and just kind of gets guys going away. Whereas I can get the curveball like up and down, and so just add something else that plays better to righties. Whereas like if the curveball plays better to lefty because it's north south, and sometimes I'll yank it to righties, where I can really just throw the sweeper like at a righty, and it'll kind of end up where I want it to, like down and away. And so just getting better at starting it where I want it to, and not like pulling off where I did like a couple times, or like bounced a couple, like just getting better at the release points with that pitch, and keeping it in zone more, where it like holds plane with the fastball, and makes those swing decisions tougher. Like that's been the big thing. So I'm really excited where that's at. It's been good the past couple of bullpens, so I'm excited to see how that comes into the new year.
Yeah, righties, watch out. We're already giving too much of your sauce away, so we won't go too deeper into it. You know, all your secrets of your pitch mix and things like that. Looking forward to pitching with Edwin Diaz.
Yeah, I'm so excited. I've only heard good things too.
Yeah.
So I can see Wald trains, and he's saying how like good of a dude he is, and no one's ever had anything bad to say. And so that's a huge part too. Like, dude's an electric pitcher. Like, obviously, no one's gonna argue that. But guys that come in and fit into the clubhouse and are just like good dudes, like that's what you really want. And so it's exciting to hear like how great he is on that side. And dude, he just throws so hard. It's so sick.
Yeah, no, he's nasty, and that place is going to be jumping. I mean, you got Shohei and Mookie and Yamamoto and Freddie, and then Edwin Diaz closing out games. It's going to be a party at Dodger Stadium all season long.